Good morning and welcome to a terrific Tuesday. Why it's terrific? Because I said so.
I love it. Good morning.
Good morning. I am Steve Nudelberg. I am the principal at On the Ball.
And
Across the
I'm
street
Lori
from me
Salarulo.
is the lovely Lori Salarillo, CEO of Junior Achievement, good friend. Shay Money, I have to tell you, and I'm giving you public props. You continue to grow in your role with us. Yesterday was another level of Mark and I had the opportunity to do an all-day workshop for a national sales meeting that this company was putting together. They brought all of their people together, and Mark and I were the ones, really directing the entire day. And the entire day was filmed and captured because of that man right there. So he took it upon himself to learn it, get the equipment, obviously, which is what we funded. And dude, you just knocked it out of the park.
Wait, what's today's date, Shay? I got to mark the calendar on this. Public praise.
Yeah,
Public.
Look, he's so quiet.
So we were.
He's not even comfortable with this, okay?
Which is why I don't do it, man.
Just do what I do.
I do what I do. It's so great. And I want everybody to know that while Mark and myself are the front, Jake and Shay really, really make the engine work. So thank you. Thank you for that. We had a great time. Things that we need to talk about. So I don't know, Lori, were you into this eclipse yesterday?
No, I don't get it.
So I want you to Sebastian Maniscalco, who's one of my favorite comedians. Shay, show me Sebastian.
So we're hours away from the eclipse. I know some of you took off work to travel to Texas to see the eclipse. I called my father and I said, "Are you taking off work today to see the eclipse?" He said to me, "If I want to see darkness, I go out at night." So that's my dad's take on the eclipse. What do you think? Is the eclipse a good reason to take off work? Let me know.
I am astonished at the amount of people who took time off, like weekend day, and traveled to a destination where it might have rained or be clouds and you wouldn't see it. And then when you see it, it's just dark.
I'm not a science buff or any of this stuff. I don't know. So for me, it was a non-event. I don't know. I was leaving the office and there were a few people outside. And so they made me stop the car and get out and put on the glasses. I saw this little like crescent shaped thing. And I'm like, it went behind the cloud and I'm like, that's it. Okay, great. Enjoy.
Totally crazy stuff. Shout outs this morning to some new faces. I think Benjamin Dack, who I had a virtual coffee with recently. Welcome to the Huddle. Henry Paisano. Haven't seen you in a little bit, my friend. Scott Garber, news travels fast. I think you broke your arm. So speedy recovery. Just all of the good wishes that we can send you. Scott, did you stop your day and do this eclipse thing? In sports news, so Michael Fakar, I was shocked how many people were crying on the news. Crying? There's no crying. Jesus Christ. I don't believe it. It's unbelievable to me. So, Michael, thank you for sharing that. In sports news, you gotta call it out. The numbers are in on the women's final, which was Sunday. I was one of the people who watched it start to finish. We were among 18.7 million people. So 3 million more people than watched the semifinals, watched the finals. It was great. I loved it. It was competitive, all good stuff. And then last night we saw Connecticut do their thing.
Yeah, wasn't this back to back this year? But I think I'm really happy for the women. I was more into that than I was into the men's, but because I love what you get an amazing player in there, right? Who just takes the game to another level and takes the sport, right, for women's basketball to another level. And that's, as a woman, obviously, right, that excited me. So I was watching too. So
For me, years ago, I would never even consider watching it. But what the WNBA has done, they have, programs that are going really, really well. So kudos to them. All good stuff. Lori, when we start on Tuesdays, you don't have the advantage. This is your Monday with us, but you had a banger weekend. And there's a picture that Andy Cagnetta posted that is, it's iconic. And
That's what he said.
That word. And so, Shay, show me the iconic picture. It's the one at the bottom. Shay, I wish you would have put that one by itself because it is worthy of it. Can't really see, but tell us about your weekend visiting Mr. Messi.
Yeah, it was a busy weekend. So Friday night, got invited by Juliet Rolick from FPL, and Juliet hosted all of us couples. And so you could see by that picture some of those amazing leaders in our community and just amazing women, all moms, right? Just good people. And so I was just really thrilled to be a part of that group. It was fun. It was my first professional soccer game. Messi got in and of course changed the whole energy of the game and all of that. But so that was really fun. And then Saturday, I don't even remember what I did Saturday now.
That was Friday night?
That was Friday night. Saturday was something I can't remember. And then Sunday, it was brought back memories of when my daughter was young, went to watch her play softball. And I posted about it because it was bases loaded, bottom of the last inning, 2 outs, full count. Samantha's got this pressure of tie score. And she's 3-2. She steps out of the box. She takes a couple of breaths. She takes a couple of swings. She gets back in, and I could see her look over at the team and look back out. And she hit a line drive into the outfield and brought in 2 runs, and they won the game. And she said to me yesterday, Mom, I was freaking out that it was all on me, that if I didn't get a hit, we would, it would be a tie. And I said, you know what? It really taught me. Like I really reflected on what she did, and I'm like, sometimes we just got to step out of the batter's box, right? Take a breath.
Look at you dropping content, man. That's great.
Right?
And pulls off 3-pointer. Bang! Bang! It's good.
Take a breath, right? Look into the outfield. Look at your team cheering you on, because sometimes you feel like the pressure is all on you, right? And it's up to you to win the game. I love that she looked over to her team, because we are part of a team, right? And it doesn't have to all be on one person. But so it just made me think about that as a leader.
First of all, what a great takeaway. Phenomenal analogy. When you were talking about Messi, there are people in this world, sports, business, music, life, whatever, who have what I call it. And it's just they're willing to be in those moments so when you said he came in, energy, wow, he brings all of it because he's built that expectation in you. When your daughter looked at the bench, I got this thing. Babe Ruth points, I'm going to hit a home run. Those are people who are willing to take the spotlight. And at that point, training is behind them. It's all confidence, man. I'm here, and taking it away. So phenomenal story. One of the best nuggets we've had here in a while. Shay, we got to wake this thing up because we're going to talk about another person with it. Sarah Blakely had an anniversary the other day that we're going to share. So go. So I love speaking about, that I'm a big fan of Jesse Itzler. Friend, was in business with him at one point. He puts out great content. What people don't realize is that he's married to Sarah Blakely, who is one of the only self-made billionaire women. She is incredible. And the backstory for her is she had bought this pair of pants she wanted to wear, and she was afraid to have lines and crumples or whatever. The video on about her Inc. magazine interview is fantastic. But, she talks about she went out and got a pair of pantyhose and cut the bottom of them. So, she wears it. She loved it, but it rolled up. And so she went about figuring out, she basically said, why is this product not made? Now I'm a man talking about it. You can probably speak more clearly about the product, but there were such amazing takeaways. It was 24 years ago yesterday that she got a patent for her product. So the backstory is she was selling fax machines. She actually worked for Dex. So it was way back in the day. So she goes about trying to hire an attorney, and each attorney wanted like $3,000 to $5,000. She only had $5,000 to her name. So she went to the library, took out a book called U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, and without an attorney, wrote the patent. I sent it to my friends who are patent attorneys. She wrote the patent. And the funny story about the patent is that she had to, at the final piece, had to have an attorney bless it. It's on the phone with somebody from the mill, which was in North Carolina. Hello, Melissa and Michelle and all that kind of stuff. And the guy in the mill doesn't know from nothing. He says it's made of like cotton and lacquer. And they go through this whole story, man. They write it down. She stays up all night long and she goes, it can't be lacquer. She calls the guy back and says, Tim, what tell me more about the product. It can't be lacquer. Spell it for me. Lycra. Not lacquer. It's lycra. Right? So hence the story is made. The reason why I'm sharing it today is her dad, and I know you're very fond of your dad and the lessons. Lessons are everywhere. Her dad, growing up, would actually encourage her to fail. And I know Jonathan Aaron said, those people with it, they're willing to fail. They're willing to put themselves in a position of failure. So she would come home from school and he would say to my brother and me, so what did you guys fail at this week? And he helped her change the definition of failure. So I want your comments on that.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's the best part of the story, right? She was willing, and I think it goes without saying that anybody like her, right, who has done something like that, invented something, done something like that, it's because they were willing to take the risk, right? If you don't take the risk, you can't have the glory, right? You can't do it. So I think that's the best part of her story.
So when you hear people who are successful, they use the term epic fail or, so it's just amazing that you see this self-made billionaire who is the kookiest, greatest. She's the same now. You would never know, but I point you to that interview on Inc. magazine, and I ask you to do this exercise, which she has in sort of her statement. It was, tell me, what did you try and fail at lately? Because if you're not failing, you're not pushing yourself out of your comfort zone to make good things happen. And Lori and I know a little bit about failure.
Because we just went through something like that, didn't we?
Woo! Anyway.
But, lots of lessons. And I wouldn't say that we failed necessarily. Right. I would say that we looked at an opportunity we thought could be a positive thing. And it turned out, after diving deeper, I still think someday we're going to say we should have done that.
I don't disagree, but it would be in a different environment.
Correct.
It would not be with so many people and
correct.
The circumstances didn't match up.
Correct.
I think the opportunity is still a really good one. As a matter of fact, it might be worth a conversation with Ross Calvert. Because he was gung-ho. But anyway, that's the good stuff. Unbelievable motivational music. And then we're going to talk about the things everybody's talking about, the things you should do. Leaders, you should do this. You business people, you everybody should do this. How about the things you shouldn't do? Lori and I can unpack.
Yeah.
And I thank God every day for the girl He sent my way. But I know the things He gives me, He can take away. And I hold you every night, and that's a feeling I wanna get used to. But there's no man as terrified as the man who stands to lose you. Oh, I hope I don't lose you. Please stay. I want you, I need you, oh God. Don't take these beautiful things that I've got. Please stay. I want you, I need you, oh God. Don't take these beautiful things that I've got.
Wow.
Brand new music, Benjamin Boone. I love when I get to write the show. Thank you, Jonathan. I do the work. I take it seriously for me to look and find new music or relevant music. And that one is just, if you listen to the words, man, beautiful things.
Yeah.
We all have beautiful things. So anyway, thank you, Jonathan. You are our official fact checker, as Mark said yesterday. So Eric Ross is in the house. If you're not checking out his podcast, you should, man. He's another comedian in waiting. So Lori, 8 habits of unsuccessful people who never move forward in life. Take a crack at it. There's obviously 8 of them, but take a crack. What do you take away from this?
Well, I mean, listen, all 8 I think are really good. But I think of all of them, the one that's, well, for me, there's one that's a pet peeve for me, and that was number 7, and that is failing to take responsibility. There is nothing I hate more than somebody who won't, we all make mistakes. We all say things that we don't mean. We all, whatever it might be, but just take responsibility, right? Own up. Right. And apologize or do whatever you have to do to make it right. So that one really stood out for me, failing to take responsibility.
So I want to comment on that. So it came up in yesterday's meeting because we had a lot of the company employees were there, as well as the people directly responsible for new business or whatever. And the phrase, "It's not my fault," comes up all the time, happens in companies all the time. It may not actually be your fault, but it's your responsibility. And that's a lot of what the Navy SEALs train and, Jocko. And so we went deep on that conversation because people don't really understand the difference between fault and responsibility. So good for you for calling that out. What would be your number 2?
I would say, I think it would be, I don't know, it's kind of a tie between number 2 and number 4, which are neglecting personal growth and neglecting the value of community.
Wow.
I was working on the book the last few days because somebody is pushing me a little. So finished 2 chapters. And one of the things that's become perfectly clear is that in almost every chapter, I talk about the family and friends who were there to support me and help me get through, right? Or whatever it might be that was going on. And so that's why I think, neglecting the value of community, those relationships, those connections, those people supporting you is so important. And then you can't do anything without growing every single day, right? So those 2 to me kind of go together.
So obviously for me, neglecting personal growth would be a non-starter. I'm a lifelong learner. I want to have an aha moment every day. I want to read. When someone asks you, "Hey, what's the last book you read?" And it's like a textbook in high school, like you are not focused on personal growth. So, what are you intaking to get yourself better. It's not difficult, but you have to focus on it. So, like yesterday, I gave the audience 5 different books that I thought were relevant for them to read. Nobody in the room had read Atomic Habits, which was mind-boggling to me. Boom, go do it. If you do it, you will get better, in our pursuit to get, so personal growth doesn't happen like flip a switch. I'm going to grow. You got to be consistent at it. So I love that you did that.
I love when people say, "Oh, but I don't read." Well, don't read. Listen to an Audible, listen to a YouTube, listen to a podcast. That's no excuse.
A movie, it's so I love that one. For me, and this one hit very, very low below the belt, obsession with material wealth. Because early in my career, I was trained that was the metric, that, that's what success was. I had more shit than everybody. So it was cars and clothes and vacations. And you know what? It winds up being the most empty barometer of all of it. I learned it the hard way because I had nothing. I had all this shit that everybody said, "Oh my God, man, you're so lucky. You have everything." I had nothing. I had nothing. I really didn't, and when I reevaluated my life and I made the changes and I did the work, man, so it's easy to get in the comparison game and say, well, he or she has that.
And listen, there's no taking away the fact that money certainly can make life more comfortable or whatever. It's the obsession. And when it's what drives you, right? Listen, I'm not going to, right? I'm feel very fortunate that I have the money to put a roof over our head, and a nice one, right? And to do all that, but that's not what drives me. What drives me is the why. It's what I do that I love. I would take a job that I really loved for less money, right? Because it's that's not what.
You gotta be careful. I'm a board member, so
yes, I know. Okay, scratch that, erase that.
But I think so. When I say what I say, that doesn't mean I want to drive income. Right. It's just not the total focus. Because when you figure out success, which I believe at 64 years old, I have, and people have said to me, "Man, you look different. You look happier. Why? Because I've figured out the things that really matter to me. They may not matter to anybody else, but I don't give a shit. I don't care what works for somebody else." When you figure out, and that's what this exercise is all about, figure out for yourself what success looks like. You need to be able to pay your bills. I mean, I think that's a constant. Right. But at what point is the money enough if you trade it for everything else? And I think, for me, somebody said this to me at a point in my career where it was very impactful. They said, "What happens if you climb the corporate ladder just to realize it's leaning against the wrong building?" Yeah. And I felt like they reached in and pulled my tonsils out. And I was like, wow. And that is unbelievably powerful because I hated what I did. It was just not a good place. And now I love what I do. I love who I get to do it with. And the easiest thing of all is to make 5 friends a day. And that's what I do. So thank you all for being friends of mine. Lori, thank you for being my friend. Any parting words today? Tomorrow you get to work with Mark. He'll do a Wednesday huddle, which I think Kim will be back. Parting words from Lori.
Yesterday, you today, and Mark tomorrow. I got enough Nudelberg to last me a lifetime.
We had a meeting on Friday in the morning, and we were all sitting around the table, and the person we were working with said, "There's a lot of Nudelberg here." So it was, it was all done very, very nicely. So parting words for today.
Go out there and, don't be afraid to take a risk, and don't be afraid to fail.
It's okay. You can fail because you'll wake up tomorrow and do it all over again. Shay, take us out of this. Let's get down to some business.
Have a great day.
Please don't worry about me. I'm about to let my heart speak. My friends keep telling me to leave this. So let's get down to business.